It's Fist Bump Friday, hosted by our friend Fist Bump Fern. I'm Yassine with ChangeWealth, and I'm here with Tyler Pearce from Light. Is it Light or Light Winnipeg?
Light.
It's just Light. And so Fist Bump Friday is a weekly interview series where we sit down with people who are passionate about helping other people, which, those are folks that we look up to here at ChangeWealth. And so I will let Tyler explain more about who she is and what Light does and all sorts of other good stuff. So Tyler, welcome. And why don't you tell me a little bit about what Light does and what you do?
Sure. I'm the executive director of Light. Light stands for Local Investment Toward Employment.
Yep.
And so what we do is we create jobs. We get people to donate to us. We give grants out. We do purchases in the inner city community, small businesses,
Yep.
Businesses that are community minded, in order to help people find and keep jobs and grow the local economy in Winnipeg's inner city.
That's awesome. So I guess you guys actually hold sort of a special place in my heart because it's you're the first charity or first local organization that I came to understand, or that helped me understand what economic development looks like at a sort of grassroots, local, first world level. Economic development to me, what I knew of it was about things like microfinancing, developing countries and that sort of thing. And so to see what you guys do makes it make sense to me in the local context. Do you think is that a fair assessment of economic development sort of locally versus globally?
Yeah, I mean, some of the problems that we see in third world countries are the same problems that are happening in Winnipeg's inner city or other inner cities in North America. And it's, there's an absence of jobs, an absence of businesses, and that sometimes the charities that exist or the charitable giving that exists can actually stop businesses from growing.
Yeah.
And so that's partly why Light exists and how we came to be, is people were saying, well, if we actually took some charitable purchases and made them in the inner city, wouldn't the inner city then be able to grow? And that's what we've been seeing. And over the course of the last 20 years, the reputation of the inner city might still be very bad outside of the inner city, but there are some real businesses that have grown, and people have, made a life for themselves by operating small businesses or by growing, businesses that started off quite small. So we've been a part of that, and we continue to really focus on how these kind of small businesses can also be a place for employment, which is something that's just so missing in a lot of people's lives, just the opportunity to get, their first job, or an opportunity to have a job that they can continue on and pay for their family.
Yeah, for sure.
Live, right?
So much of charity work, revolves around giving and sort of just giving in the form of donations, whether it's, monetary or there's plenty of charities that give, food, shelter, those kinds of things. But what you're describing is, a form of charity that revolves around creating sustainable employment, ideally, right? Is that, since I have you here, it's something that I talk about with, when the term economic development comes up, I offer my own kind of, definition as I understand it, but how do you define economic development when that comes up?
Economic development, there are probably a bazillion definitions of it.
That's why I'm asking.
But part of it is part of it is about the people, right? So who is doing what, where, and why, and what is the relationship between them? So part of that's very abstract, but part of the reason we are interested in community economic development and the community is the first word there, right? So it's who is benefiting in Winnipeg's inner city? Well, if you have goods that are sort of bought outside of the inner city and that flood the inner city in, say, December, that means the people who are in the inner city aren't working to sell those goods.
Yep.
There are businesses, small businesses, medium-sized businesses who aren't there selling and also benefiting. Because we know that small businesses, local businesses, give money back to their community that they're located in.
Yeah.
Right? So if we, instead of having people buy goods sort of in their part of town, if they give us money and then we buy goods in this part of town, we can help grow those businesses.
Yeah.
So when it comes to defining community economic development, it's about paying attention to where that dollar goes and how it is circulating within a particular environment.
To provide another perspective on the same idea, what you're saying is well-meaning charity can have unintended consequences sometimes, and that's something, when I came to understand that. Actually, there's a documentary on Netflix called Poverty Inc. that deals with this exact topic, right?
Yeah. And
it was like, wow, and it's nothing to do with, malicious intent on the part of Christmas cheerboard or things like that, right? So they're doing great work, but what you guys do is to kind of bring the same spirit of giving, but a little bit more conscientious in terms of not taking away from small business that employs people, et cetera, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Very cool. So I didn't even ask you what's your background? What brought you to this work?
So I'm an economic geographer by training, and so...
Dr. Tyler.
Dr. Tyler, yeah.
Dr. Tyler.
And so, economic geographers are interested in the relationship of people and space, the relationship and then how that creates economy.
Yes.
So economies aren't something abstract, they're actually very, very material. And my specific interest was, what is the role that community plays or can play in labor markets?
Okay.
And so in the history of academia and policy work around the study of labor markets, often communities kind of left out of the picture.
Yeah.
And so my sort of academic and then political interest is, well, what role do you and I have? What role does community have in shaping local labor markets? And that's partly what brought me to Light, first as a donor, as a supporter, and now as the executive director. That's what we do, right? So we do need donations, because with those donations, what we do is we help people who really just need a hand up, right? Like some people don't have, a mom and dad to wake them up every morning, or an auntie who knows somebody who can get them a job. A lot of people don't have that. And so we support organizations that are those sort of substitutes, right? They are that community that says, we're going to help you get your resume built by first giving you a job. You need income. Often people who we're supporting are kind of in emergency situations. So they're like dealing with like housing crisis, food crisis, family crisis. And then our programs that we support come along and say, okay, we're going to help you with those crisis, but we can also help you get on your feet. And so it could be just enough to make some money to deal with some crisis, but it could also be like there could be a path forward where you're not sort of just without zero income other than, say, assistance, or if you can't get assistance. And so that's what we do. We're that hand up. And so like at the core of Light is community saying, we can help shape the local labor market by giving people access to enter it. Because it's actually, if you've never had a job or you don't have that support network to help you enter the labor market, you can be so far out of the labor market. And it's actually quite challenging to break in, right? So it's very easy to forget all the supports, I received, or you may have received when you first got your first job, and all the learning you had to do to sort of show up in the morning. Because it can be hard to get up in the morning. So.
Things that we sort of...
We don't think as barriers, even though we grumble every Monday morning.
Just things we totally take for granted. I hear you on that. So one thing that shines through when you're talking about your work and what Light does is it's clear that, there's a real passion there for you, right? So this is it's personally fulfilling. Is that fair to say? Oh,
for sure. I mean, it bothers me that we, in our society, have this persistent sort of narrative about the labor market being sort of open. And it's in fact very, very closed when you start to study what it takes to get a job, particularly a job outside of a minimum wage level or sort of labor kind of role. So it matters to me that what we're doing is trying to get people onto that first rung.
Awesome.
And along with that, of course, it's more than the job and more than that small paycheck. It can also just be a support network. It could be forming relationships with people and making goals and longer term plans. Because you can get out of poverty, I believe. But it does take a really long time, and it takes a community of people who are going to be, a backbone in a way for folks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you were alluding to the fact that you guys take donations, and I happen to know you have a campaign ongoing right now, so we can give you the floor to plug the campaign. So this is going to air August 11th, so it won't be this Friday, it'll be next Friday.
Okay.
And so we're mid-month in August, so from now until to the end of the month, what do we have going on?
So we're doing a summer challenge called the First Payday Challenge, where we're asking people to share their story of their experience of their first job and getting their first payday. And so as a way of kind of connecting sort of what we do with people's your and I's life, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that experience, donate, $5, $10, $20, encourage your friends to do the same. You can have, a barbecue and everyone donates $2 and tells their story.
Yeah.
It's meant to be a fun campaign. We're really interested in people sort of remembering what it takes to get that first job, or all the community that might have surrounded you, whether it just be your family or your larger network, that helped you, get that first paycheck.
Yeah, that first paycheck is a really empowering thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the spirit of what you guys are trying to highlight here. So where can people find that online?
So you can go online at light.mb.ca.
And the nice thing about Fern is I can point to Fern, fist bump Fern, and the address will be right there.
Yeah.
Through the magic of movie editing, right there. That's it. You're a pro. You're a pro at this. And anything else? So that's the website. Anything else you want to plug? You guys on Facebook, social media?
Oh yeah, we're on Insta. You can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Yeah.
All of the same handle. What's the tag? Go ahead. It's going to be right here after you say it.
Light.Winnipeg.
Is that what it is? Light.Winnipeg on all three?
No, one of them's Light Winnipeg. It's very confusing. They all came out at different times.
We'll put it up on the screen in a way that helps us. So either way,
I'll tag you.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us here. And if you've stayed till the end of any of the previous videos, you know that I'm required to do a fist bump with you. It's our patented fist bump. So thank you very much, and kudos on all the great work. Keep it up.